Welcome to Pour Painting with Ron. I hope you've been really well since the last time I saw you all. Well, today I'm going to be doing a variation of the Starburst pour. If you've seen some of my other videos over the last few weeks, you'll have seen I've been playing around with this technique a little bit. But today I'm going to be using some different colours just to see what pops out. Well, today I'm going to be using this, oh, still a bit wet, this 50 by 60, I think 50 by 60 thin-edged canvas. And like usual, I've prepared the back with some painter's tape and some giant push pins just to keep it off the surface of the table, and I've made sure that it's nice and tight. Now, I've painted the edges like I've done in previous videos using this technique. I've just painted my hands, but never mind. I don't normally paint the edges, but in this technique you're not always guaranteed to get paint covering all of your corners and edges, so it's much easier painting first rather than trying to touch up all the white bits after you've done and the painting is dried. Anyway, if you're not sure what a Starburst painting is, it's essentially a Dutch pour. You put a blob of paint in the middle, put circles of colour around the outside, and then blow outwards with a blow dryer. But rather than a circle today in the middle, I'm going to do a bit of a different shape and create my pattern that way. Otherwise, it's essentially the same as the other ones that I've done. Now, today I'm going to be using Montmartre colours. I've got this nice green. Which one is this one? Brilliant green. And I'm using some permanent green deep. And I've also mixed it with a bit of black just to make a darker shade for my centre. And I'm using these extreme sheen colours, which create the interesting lacing and pearls and cells. This one is peridot, light green colour, and some emerald, lovely green colour as well. Now, from my previous ones, I've had a few paints left over, so I thought I'd use some of them in this painting, see if I can use some of them up. So I had a little bit of primary cyan left over, should look nice with the green. I don't want to use a lot, but just a little bit. And I had some of these extreme sheens left. I had deep sapphire and some sterling silver, so I'll use little bits of those in my painting, but most of the colour will be green. Now, my pouring medium today is good old Floetrol. Now, you may have wondered why I have a stocking tied over the top. Sometimes Floetrol gets lumps in it, and this is the easiest way to strain it as you pour it. Just tie a bit of stocking over the top, put a rubber band around it, the lid can screw over the top, and you don't get any lumps in your paint mix. So really handy and cheap. So I've mixed the Floetrol 1-to-1 with my paint, and then I've added a little bit of water to get the consistency that I like, because you like it nice and thin, not watery thin, but nice and thin, so you can blow it out with the blow dryer. If it's too thick, it just won't go anywhere, and you'll end up with mud. So I'll show you the consistency in just a little bit. Now, I have no idea how much paint I mixed up, but I did use about 40 grams or so of each colour, 40 grams of Floetrol and a bit of water, and that should be plenty to cover my canvas today. And I thought once I'm done with this technique, I might just do a Dutch pour using all my leftover colours just to see what happens, what pops out. If it's nice, you might see it on a forthcoming video. But anyway, let's get started. Righto, here we are again. So these are all the colours I'm using today. So these were my leftover ones. Hardly any silver left, but I'll use what's there. These are my two metallics, and these are my Amsterdam paints. So you can see I've made this nice dark green colour for the centre and the outside corners. And then I've got the other two shades of green. Now the consistency, if I dribble it off my spoon, I really do a tiny little mound of paint. And if I do a twirly shape, the little bump of paint on the top may stay there for like half a second or so. So it's not watery runny, but it is pretty thin. I should be able to blow it out with the blow dryer. All right, now I haven't really thought much about the order that I'm going to put them in, but I do want to sort of put the metallics in between the other colours if I can. They create the more interesting patterns that way. But yeah, we'll just see how that turns out. Now I'll just bring in my canvas. So hopefully you can see that okay. Let me know if you can't, but it'll be too late anyway. But anyway, here's my nice big excuse me, canvas that I'm using today. Something in my throat. Oh well, so dark green first. Now I want to have a sort of an interesting shape in the middle here, rather than just a circle. I think it's just more interesting to look at. I want to sort of get a sort of like a garden feel or rainforest feel today. Now after I've blown it out, what I have found is that the colour goes back a bit towards the middle again. So don't worry if your patch of colour is too big when you've done the painting, because it will shrink again when it dries, particularly if you have sort of more paint on the canvas. All right, so I'll start up here. Like so. And I do want it wider in the middle, not by much, but just a bit. Okay. Now, what colour will I put next? Maybe, I might actually do some of the green that's a lighter shade. Now I don't want to do like heaps, because you end up with quite a large patch. There, okay, and then I'll put maybe the lighter metallic green. Now I'm not going to put the blue in circles today. You'll see what I've got planned in a bit. A bit more here, a bit more there, like so, and then maybe the light green. And see how runny it is? I said if it's too thick, you can't blow it out with the blow dryer. Then I might do the other metallic green. Okay, I'll save the blues and silver. No. I might go back to this green. I didn't have much of a plan going into it, but yeah, we'll see what works. A bit more there. Okay. And back to this metallic. That's almost gone. And we have the light green. What did I do next? Oh yes, this metallic colour. Now I won't do those. I'm close to the edges there, so I'll just do it in here. Because I'll just blow it all over the edge anyway. Okay. What was next? Oh yes, that dark green. Don't have much left. So a bit there. Bit there. Do I have any light green left? No. Okay. Now I will put, no, I'll put this on. I hope I have enough to get to the corners today. But we'll soon find out. Just spread that out a bit with the palette knife. It will just help the rest of the paint to move. Just in case I don't quite get to the corners. There. There. Okay, now I don't want to overdo the blue. I thought I'd just be a little bit random. I hope that doesn't wreck it, but I'm experimenting. They may disappear completely, but yeah, we'll see. We will see. And then the silver. And I'll do the same sort of thing. If it works, I can do it again. I didn't want to put that silver in the middle, but okay. Yeah, I don't like that big blob there. I might see if I can get rid of that in a bit. And then this other darker metallic. Be easier if I had them in a squeeze bottle. Right, now that looks like a nice mess, doesn't it? Okay, I still have paint left. Not much paint left. Now let me see what I can do about this. Probably not much. We can't do much about this. I'll get rid of most of it and then pour some more dark green over the top. If there's any left, I can always paint over the top when it's dry. All right, now for the blow dryer part. Just get my blow dryer. Now, as I've said in my last videos, this is VS Sassoon Pro Dry 2300. It's got a cool button on it, and I'm using the lowest fan setting and the lowest heat setting because you don't want to cook your painting. Okay, let's see what happens. We're starting up high. Oh, almost forgot. I'll just torch it to get rid of the air bubbles. There. Almost forgot. Ooh, it's going to be pretty. I'll use a higher fan. That's better. Yeah, I don't think I had quite enough paint on the canvas, otherwise I would use the lower fan setting, but the higher one just managed to get it over the edges how I liked. Cool. It looks really nice. Okay, I'll give it a torch. Help some metallics do what they're going to do. Like exotic marshland from the air, I think. So I like the little bits of blue. Okay, that'll do. I've cooked it long enough, I think. Wow, that's really pretty. I'll bring you in for a closer look in a bit. The extreme sheen can take a little bit of time to work, so don't get too worried if it looks a bit blah when you first start. It'll come to the fore as you let it sit. Can take about half an hour to fully do what it's going to do, but it does create lovely effects in your painting. Right, now it's important to go around the edges with your palette knife to scrape off any drips. The drips look ugly. They can also pull paint off your canvas when it dries, or as it dries, I should say. Yes, as I said, I did need that higher fan setting today just to get the paint to the edges. The lower setting may work in most instances. Now you can see I didn't cover all the edges. That's why it was a good idea to pre-paint the edges of your painting first. Oh, that's really lovely. I like this one. I think extreme sheen is a bit hard to get here in Australia at the moment because of COVID. It hasn't been coming over from the States. So a lot of colours are out of stock everywhere at the moment. So I'm just using what I've got. If you can see the shelves behind me, I still have quite a few containers sitting there, so I'm good for a little while. But all their most popular colours seem to be out of stock at the moment. Maybe it's easier for you guys in the US to get them than it is for us here in Australia. Now, you don't have to use Floetrol when doing this. If you've got a good quality paint, you can use water, just water, to thin your paints out, and it should work just as well. Cool, that's enough scraping for now. I'll bring you in for a closer look. Okay, here's the painting. I hope you can see that. I'll just bring you down and we'll have a closer look. As you can see, there are just lovely effects in this painting. I think they'd look lovely just as a standard Dutch pour as well. Doesn't it just give the impression of the jungle from the air? So what did you think of that one? I think this one turned out really well. I really like the overall effect that it gives. And I think the little bits of blue and silver just brought things out a little bit. Is that a technique you'd like to have a go at yourself? As always, if you have any questions or comments, please put them below. I read everything and I do answer all questions that you might have. But give it a go. It's not that difficult. Just keep in mind that your mix should be relatively thin so you can blow it out with the blow dryer over your canvas. If it's too thick, it won't happen and you'll just end up with mud. Now, as usual, if you like what you saw today, please take a moment to press the like button. It helps my content get found on YouTube. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, please take a moment to subscribe. Well, I hope you have a really great week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. In the meantime, happy painting.